obrigada ao professor Paulo Fontes, a todos aqueles que compuseram esta primeira mesa. Cabe a mim, então, fazer o trabalho de moderação destas conferências que vão compor este primeiro dia de trabalhos. Vou, por uma questão logística e de inteligibilidade, naturalmente agora mudar para o inglês para poder apresentar o nosso primeiro orador. I was saying that I will now switch to English so that I can properly welcome and present our first speaker, Dr. Thomas Aigner. He is an historian and an archivist. He is the director of the Archives of the Diocese of St. Pölten in Austria since 1995. He is also the president of Icarus and a major driving force behind its international activities, including cross-border and EU-funded projects supporting digitalization activities and open access to digital content. And it is also a member of various international and national expert committees, such as ICA, the International Council on Archives, or the Austrian Academy of Sciences. He holds various national and international awards in all these activities and related fields. Today, he will share with us a presentation on the religious archives in Europe, challenges, best practices, and perspectives. The floor is yours, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a big pleasure for me to being able to speak to you today. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pity that I can't be with you in Lisbon. I would have loved to travel there and to come back to Portugal, but I think it's great also to meet like this. I try to share my screen now. I hope it works. The topic that I'm supposed to speak about is religious archives in Europe. The topic is really huge, and I think I would need not just 20 minutes, I would need a couple of hours to talk about that. And so I thought it might be the best to simply talk about some aspects from my personal point of view as a diocesan archivist. As an archivist in a Roman Catholic diocese in Europe. So this means I won't focus on other confessions like Protestant confessions or like Jewish communities, also Muslim communities. So I hope it's okay for you if I will concentrate my speak on the situation of Catholic religious archives in Europe. And talking about Catholic religious archives in Europe, so my point of view is also centered on the situation of diocesan archives and not so much on the one of monastic archives, because it's a world of its own, and to talk about it would also be a lecture of its own. I've divided my talk in 3 chapters. The one is what challenges are we facing in religious archives at the moment? And talking about that, I think we really need to consider that there are fundamental changes that affect primarily the situation of religious communities in Europe in general. But of course, subsequently, they affect also the situation of the archives of those religious communities in Europe. And talking about dioceses in Europe, we are facing really fundamental changes there. This means that the composition of the society changes. So the amount of people believing in a certain religion decreases, or the relation between the confessions are changing. And so also the religious commitment of the people are changing. And therefore also the economic fundament for the dioceses, they are changing. And so also the funding of the religious or the diocesan archives are changing. And so we are really facing a situation that requires from us a huge amount of flexibility and also creativity to find ways how we can bring our historical cultural heritage held in the diocesan archives into the future. Here is a statistic. So we see a continuous decrease of us Christians and a continuous increase of people not believing in any religion and Muslims in Europe. And I just want to show you that illustrates very much also the situation we are facing in the diocesan archives, because the money is getting less and less. Another challenge we are facing in the diocesan archives is also that in connection with those fundamental changes, also the administrative structures are changing in the dioceses, but also the structures of the parishes and the deaneries, they are fundamentally changing. And this affects the archives very much, because when a parish is abolished, we have to take care of the archival heritage of that parish, that it does not get lost while the parish is abolished. I think it's the same for monasteries that cease to exist. It's the same problem. So also the religious orders are facing such a situation that they have to take care of the archival heritage of abolished monasteries. A very extreme example for that is the Trier diocese in Germany. They are restructuring the entire diocese. The entire diocese usually firstly had 885 parishes. This is a structure that has developed during the centuries from the medieval into the modern times. And now they are restructuring it from 85 to 35 parishes. And please consider 85 parish archives will be diminished to 35 parish archives. So, of course, that won't happen. I guess most of the 85 parish archives will be brought into the central diocesan archives. But what will there be in the future for the future archival heritage? So we are really facing huge changes and challenges how to preserve all the documents also in the future. And that brings me to the third huge challenge. I think that's not the specific challenge for religious archives, of course. It's simply the digital transformation. The digital transformation of the diocesan administrations and also of the administration of the parishes and deaneries. It's going on. I would have liked to present you some best practice example for a document management system that is used in a diocese. But so far, I do not know of one that really would be an excellent example to show you, at least in the Central European area. So if there is some good solution already in Portugal, I would be very, very happy to learn about it more. And so I think those are the three main challenges we are currently facing in the diocesan archives mainly, but I think also in the ones of the religious orders. But not just talking about challenges and changing framework conditions. I would like to show you also some nice examples how we dealt with some challenges we had within the last 20 years. The first thing I would like to show you is a way how we dealt with medieval and early modern charters or parchments. It's a fact that Europe is very, very rich of wonderful monasteries and houses of religious orders. And those hold really, really huge treasures of European history. As we can see here, this is the Benedictine Abbey of Melk in Austria. So, and the charter of there. And that's why we started a project 20 years ago, digitizing the charters of all those religious monasteries in Austria and bringing them into one portal. We called the portal Monasterium, monastery, yeah, Monasterio. And firstly, we wanted simply to put the Austrian charters online, but the project and the portal grew and grew and grew. And so a huge international platform for charters evolved. And at the moment, we have most of the European countries providing charters there. You see here just a screenshot of the portal with Austria, Germany, Hungary, Italy, but there are also charters from France, from Spain, from Germany, and so on. And it's kept very simple. You simply browse which font you would like to look at. I've chosen here a font from the historical archives in Madrid, because it's the closest archive that is in Monasterium to Portugal. And as you can see, in the historical archives of Madrid, there are wonderful documents for the Portuguese history. I've chosen here one issued by Queen Teresa from Portugal from the year 1124. And the Monasterium portal, I think it's really a nice example to demonstrate how much medieval and early modern times sources are connected one to each other, and what additional value it can bring when all those sources are connected in one portal. Because it's the huge added value of the digital age is simply that you can link any information. And I think that's the important fact here. So if you in Portugal, if you want to provide also some charters here on Monasterium, you are warmly invited to do so. Everything is of course free of charge, and everybody keeps his or her rights on the documents. And here you can see this wonderful charter from the 12th century in the National Archives in Madrid. Some facts and figures. At the moment, we have more than 700,000 pieces online. These are some more than 1 million digital images. And that's also a nice number, more than 1,000 users per day. If you consider the users using parchments physically in the archives, that would be much, much less. And I think that's the fascinating fact, that many more researchers have the possibility to work with the material than they actually could in the physical archive. Another project that brought a really huge added value for us was putting the church registers online. Firstly, there was a great hesitation about doing so, because the diocesan archives were very, very afraid of misuse of data and misuse of images and so on. But on the other hand, the reading rooms of the diocesan archives, they were crowded with people looking for their ancestors. So keeping church registers causes a lot of work in an archive. So I don't need to tell you anything about that. And so we thought, okay, we can save a lot of time and a lot of work when we put it online. And it actually happened. In our diocese in St. Pölten, we firstly had about 2,000 users a year. And we had really, most of our work was dedicated to those users. And now we have everything online. I think we have 200 users. And now we can use the personal that formerly took care of the readers. Now we can use that for many other purposes. So it's really, the efficiency was really, really increased very, very much. Let's have a look into the portal. So firstly, we designed it only for our own diocese, but it was the same with Monasterium. We realized very quickly that also others, it has use for others to provide their registers there. And the principle of Matricula is to host the registers on a very low cost basis. So this means it costs us not really much, and that enables us to provide all the registers for free. So this means, I guess Matricula is one of the really few portals of church registers that's absolutely free. And we don't want to make a business out of it. We want to give people their history and enable people to find their ancestors. I think it's a special service of our dioceses. Here you can see the current coverage of registers. So most of the registers provided in the portal are from Central Europe and Germany, some from Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. But the number is constantly increasing. So you see here an overview about the countries in just a moment. That are currently represented in the portal. So we have very, very many parishes from Germany, from Austria, Luxembourg, and Slovenia also, and some also from Italy. And the structure is very simple because the target group, just a moment, they are genealogists. So those are people who are not experts in archival tectonics. So we need to do it very simple. So they need to know the diocese, and in the diocese, then they have a map of the diocese again, some basic information, and they have a list of the parishes. And when they need to know in which parish to look for. Here is an example of such a parish. You have, again, the general information on the parish. And then you have the list of books. On the right, you have a nice image of the parish church. You have the location on the map. And the last thing is very, very nice because we have connected the data to the MapHire portal. And so you can also locate the parish on the old map from the beginning of the 19th century. How does it look like? So you see it's a simple viewer, and there you can browse through the books and can look for whatever you like. Here coming back, that's really nice here, as I told you, the connection to MapHire. There you can see also the parish on the old cadastral maps. And that's also interesting again, because people can then find the farms of their ancestors on the map. In Matricula, we currently have more than 7,000 parishes online, more than 50,000 books, more than 36 million digital images, and more than 15,000 users per day. And I really have to say Matricula is something that created a new experience for me as an archivist, because I realized that as an archivist, I really can take care of the happiness of people. It's a wonderful way to make people happy. So you cannot imagine what huge amount of excited and cheering responses we get to that. And it's really wonderful. So I have to say, putting our registers online really was a huge enrichment for our professional life. What perspectives do we get out of that? Firstly, I would like to talk about perspective regarding a scientific perspective regarding the registers. I think the new technologies and artificial intelligence, they can make out of the register books much, much more than simply genealogy. with the new technologies like handwritten text recognition and linking the data analysis, and so on, semantic linkage, as you see it here on that graphic. You can analyze the material in a manifold way and open up fundamentally new views on the registers as a source for historical science. And I think one really huge, wonderful best practice project is the UCP-CEHR project from the university in Barcelona. Have a look at it. They have created a workflow to automate the digitization process, the automatic recognition of the text, and also to extract the information automatically out of the books. It's really marvelous, as you can see it here. And such a tool enables you then to, for instance, to create a life cycle of a certain person. So you can see it here of this person of Bartolomeo Amigo, and you see here his, oh, I'm sorry. You see here what kind of profession he followed during his life, and you can do that automatically. You can also geolocate people on the map and can see where they lived during their life. So the system can do that also. And some fancy stuff is you can create out of the register books for each person that you get some kind of historical Facebook page. This means if there is an image, you can connect it with that. You have linked persons, you have the location of the person where she or he lived, and here you have relations to other persons. I think that's really a fancy example. What can be made out of historical ecclesiastical sources like registers? I think another perspective that we are facing in the religious archives or in the diocesan archives is that we will and we have to engage much more with the public. We have to raise our awareness that we are not private archives, that we are archives that are run for the public, that are run for the members of our churches, of course, but also for the society in general. And I think it's really in times of crowdsourcing and in times of manifold digital tools, it's absolutely necessary to join forces with our users in order to make the most out of our sources. Another aspect that I love very much is now we are facing also the beginning of the entire digitization of analog archives. So one day, most of the public archives and diocesan archives, in my view, are public archives, will be mostly digitized, and then they really will be some kind of memory of a society. Because so far in the analog era, they have been only accessible by a few, but if you have it digitally, many people can access the data and can access the information. And the value of the archive increases fundamentally. It's not just something for some few crazy researchers, it's something really for the public. And if you think about the registers in Portugal or in Spain, so almost the entire population is, or the history of each person living there is kept in those register books. So this means all those books are theoretically of interest for almost any inhabitant of Portugal, Spain, or Austria. So the potential is huge. And I think it's the same with an archive in general, because what's the fundamental task of an archive? I think the fundamental task is not keeping records, it's not taking care of books and charters. I think the fundamental task is simply management of information. That's our core task. So far, we did it by going into the repository, taking the book out of the shelf, and bringing it into some office or in the reading room. That was the kind of information management. But now in the digital era, we have the possibility to position ourselves in a new way and in a much more important way. So in my diocese, I start telling them, hey guys, without the archives, nothing runs in this diocese in the future. And that's how we should go into the future. Thank you very much.